Okay, I'm now recording. People may come on as we go, but most of you are probably watching this later. So I'm just going to go into the review. If anyone pops on during this time and you have any other questions on what I'm doing, just let me know. Otherwise, I'll just kind of go over the quicker version of all the problems. And bear with me here. I'm still using the mouse to write. I'm hopefully get the writing tool soon here. So, the one thing that this review goes kind of in order is what the videos did as far as 1.1, 1.2, and so on. Your test could have them all mixed up. So numbers 1 and 2 here, you have, there's in one of the note, and I think it's 1.1, the note-taking guide, they have a chart of the keywords. So the keyword here is sum. That's addition. There's only one choice here that has has addition. It's letter A. 2, 4 times as many cans as Tom collected. So times is multiply. So you take 4 times the number of cans he collected, and it's 4T. Next one, you just plug in the numbers into the variable. So this would be 27 minus 15. Wow, I need to get that pen. And so then you just subtract and you get 12. 4, 13A, that means 13 times A. So you got 13 times 2. And then we take 26. 5 and 6 are basically the same, except you just got to look for the numbers up here. Make sure you plug in the right one. So W times Z. So 14.5. Again, excuse my very poor handwriting with the mouse. Times Z. Right, which is 2.5. Okay, and there's nothing stopping you from using calculators on this, so I'm going to just make sure I'm going to take this one on the calculator. That's not the easiest without. And it's 36.25. Okay. Now, not most of these are going to be multiple choice problems, but not all of them. So if you're writing this answers on a separate sheet of paper, because your test will be on the screen, put them on a separate sheet of paper. So make sure, like number 6, you just have to write an answer and maybe put a box around it or something. But again, here, make sure you're just using the right numbers. So it's 2.5 plus, and W is 14.5. Okay. So a lot of you won't need to use a calculator, but you could use a calculator. It doesn't matter. You should be getting 17 an answer here. Okay. 7, this is where some people just get confused when they start putting the word problem to this stuff, but shouldn't be anything that should be too confusing. I'll kind of talk through a way to think about it if it is confusing for you. It says, during the canned food drive, Bob collected 4 fewer cans than Tom. Okay, so kind of a keyword there is that. We'll talk about that in a second. It says, let T represent the number of cans Tom collected. Write an expression that represents the number of cans Bob collected. So Bob collected 4 fewer than Tom, and Tom is T. So sometimes if you're not just, it doesn't make sense, like how do I use this letter and put it in an expression? Put a number in for Tom. Say Tom had 10. What would Bob have? So if Tom had 10, Bob has 4 fewer. you would have 6. And the way you did that is you took 10 minus 6. So now instead of Tom having 10, he has T. Or sorry, that would have been 10 minus 4 equals 6. Okay, so if Tom had 10, Bob would have 6 because it's 4 fewer than 10. But now Tom just has T. So we do the same thing. Instead of going 10 minus 4 equals 6, we just say T minus 4. And we don't know the answer until they tell us what Tom has. Okay, so this would be your answer to number 7. Okay, number 8, write the product using an exponent. So they don't even say evaluate it. They say just write it as a power. So 10 is going to be the base. So right now, even without counting, because this is multiple choice, this doesn't even have an exponent. This has 50 as the base. This has 5 as the base. So our answer has got to be this. And you could double check and just make sure there's 5, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 10 to the 5th. Okay. Number 9, there's 2 ways of doing this. On the video for this lesson, I showed you how to use your calculator. 2 different ways to do this one. Since it's not a big exponent, you could do this one maybe in your head or fairly quick just using your multiplication button, because 3 to the 3rd means the bottom 3 means you're multiplying 3's. The little top 3 means you're multiplying 3 of them. That's ugly again, but sorry. So this, a lot of you can do it in your head. 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. Okay. If there was a bigger exponent and you didn't want to type in a bunch of times, remember the other way, if you turn your calculator sideways, more buttons show up on most calculators, and you would hit the 3 for the base, so whatever the base is, you'd hit that. You'd find the button that looks like this, and then you hit the exponent. In this case, it's also a 3. So you can't really screw up the order in this one. And then that would also give you the 27. So if we had, 4 to the 8th, you hit 4 in here, hit this button, hit an 8 here, and that would be a lot quicker than typing in 4 times 4 8 times. So, number 10, when it says evaluate, that means you actually have to find the answer. Now again, you could, again, this is going to be sloppy. You could do this. 2 is the base. So you could type all these in, or maybe even do this one in your head. Or again, you could do what I just showed on the last problem. Hit the 2, hit the XY button, hit 5, and get your answer. But otherwise, this one is 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16, times 2 is 32. Again, no multiple choice on this one, so if you get a problem like this, just write it down, put a box on it. Okay. 11 gives you a formula for cube, and formulas like this because all the sides are the same. Okay, so usually volume of a box like this is length times width times height, which you still can do because it would be 8 times 8 times 8, which is the same as 8 to the 3rd. So either way, you could type in this, you could type in 8 and then the x to the y and then 3. Okay, however you do it, you're going to get 512 for the volume. Okay. Number 12, on this one, some people were getting confused on it, a couple of questions on this, but the key here is it says which variable expression for x completes the table. So what they mean is that there's a pattern going on. This top row, eventually they call just x, and then they say, what do you do to x to get the number on the bottom? Okay, so like an example, without even looking at the choices, if I added 0 to 1, I get 1. But then that doesn't work for here. If I add 0 to 2, I don't get 4. I still get 2. So that wouldn't be an x plus 0 would not be an expression. What you need to do is go through these, and there's a couple different ways. You might be able to just look at it and know it. Perfect. You circle an answer and move on. If not, you just start trying the choices. So x to the fourth. So if I take the top number, take it to the fourth power, do I get the bottom number? So in this case, 1 to the fourth means 1 times 1 is 1 times 1 is 1 times 1 is 1. So that would work for the first one. But then once you take 2 to the fourth, and that says it should equal 4. Well, 2 times 2 is 4, and then times 2 is 8, so, and then times 2 again is 16. So this would give you 16 when x is 2, so that does not work. Okay. When we go here, 1 squared is 1, so that works. If we put 2 in for x, 2 squared, 2 times 2 is 4, so that works. 3 in, 3 squared is 9. Put 4 in, 4 squared is 16. Put 5 in, 5 squared is 25. So yes, this would be the correct answer. Meaning whatever the top number is, if we square it, we get the bottom. And we could check the other ones just to make sure. 2 times x, well, if x is 1, 2 times 1 is 2, not 1, so that's out. X to the third, again, that would work for the first one. 1 to the third is 1, but 2 to the third is 8, so that would be out. That was the answer. 13, order operations. That's your PEMDAS. Remember, you know, and if you ever want to go back to the note, remember, you can use your note-taking guides. You can go back and watch the videos on YouTube. You can watch this video when you're taking your test. So, yep, you're going to have a lot of examples to look at, but order operations here, there's addition and multiplication. So you need to do the multiplication first. This is a pretty basic order operations problem. Okay, 8 times 7 is 56. Just add them, and you get 62. Okay. 14 is a little more difficult, but still not too bad. Just make sure you're plugging in the right numbers. When you have a fraction like this, you just do the top separately than the bottom and then divide. So x is 5, y is 20. The bottom, the 12 is given, so you just copy that down. Z is 2. Okay, so now we add, we get 25 on top. On the bottom, 12 minus 2 is 10. And now this is all up to you whether you're a fraction person or a decimal person. If you're using your calculator, you're going to get a decimal, and that's fine. You'd get 2.5. Or if you're just good with fractions, if you just looked at this, you may be able to figure out quickly that it's 2.5. So either one of those would be fine for an answer. Okay. Next one, opposite. So you could have an opposite or absolute value question here. What's nice about this problem is if you get these, well, no, you have to make sure sometimes the answer would be the same. This one you would not. If you did absolute value of 39, it would stay 39. Opposite means just change the sign. So if it's a positive 39, opposite means make it negative. Okay. 16, ordering the integers from least to greatest. A lot of you will be able to just look at this and do it fine. If you needed to do a number line, and you don't even have to do it nicely, just kind of know where 0 is, and just start putting these numbers down here. 15 is the biggest number listed, so I'm going to put that over here. 13 is fairly close to it. -3 would be a little bit over here. 1 is right here. And -13 would be over here. And now, maybe I shouldn't have wrote the 0 down here. Let's put the 0 on the top. Okay, now you just go, and if it says, always make sure you know what they're asking, least to greatest. So you start at the smallest, and you go to the biggest. So it should start with -13. So right here, C and B are out. then it goes -3. Both A and D have that. Then it goes 1, that and that. Yep, 13. This says 15. This says 13. So this one is wrong, and D is correct. Okay. 17. Again, sometimes people just get confused. It's asking which is false. Okay, so don't just find one that's true and then circle it right away. So letter A, 15 greater than 13. Remember, it's opening to the bigger one, pointing to the smaller one. So this is true. I'm just going to write that right there. -13 greater than -15. What's nice is they kind of using the same numbers as up here. So I already have, except -15 picture up here. So -13 would be here, -15 would be over here. Okay, so 13's on the right side. So yes, that is bigger. That is true. Okay, and sometimes that's what's confusing for people. They, you know, in positive numbers, that's not true. But here, 13 is less than 15. That should be one you just look at and know. Here, -15 is greater than -13. -15 would be farther to the left on the number line, so it's not greater than, it's less than. This is the one that is false. That's your answer. Okay, so we've got 2 more problems left. 18, you just got to put in one of these choices. -3 and -6. Okay, which one's greater, which one's less than? If you need to, not a lot of you won't need this, but you would, if you need to, you put on a number line. If here's 0, you're counting, going backwards with your counting. So there would be -3. There would be -6. So -3 is on the right side of -6. That means it's bigger. So we would have that, the greater than symbol. Okay. And then the last one, absolute value of A plus the absolute value of B. Okay, so now these are 2 separate absolute values, so you have to make sure you do that separate. Okay, so absolute value of 12 is 12 plus the absolute value of -3 is 3, and that would be 15. Okay, you have to do in that order because it's different. If you know, this isn't the problem, but let's say they were both inside and it said plus B, so plus -3. So this is a whole different problem, but just showing you the difference here. If they're around both of them, you have to do the problem first. So 12 plus -3 is 9. And then absolute value of 9 is 9. So that's how those are different. Okay. All right. So you have those. You can hit pause. Let me go back. I don't think many people are on here. If anyone on does have a question, you can let me know. Otherwise, I will, obviously, if you're watching this later, I recorded it and posted it. So speak now if you have any questions. Otherwise, that is it.